Welcome to another episode of Villa Gaia Sessions. I have a very special guest with me here today, Sasha from I Project Love. Sasha, welcome.
Hello, good to be here.
Sasha is a really interesting character, Canadian, globetrotter, comedian, New Earth builder, storyteller. So today we're going to dive in and learn a little bit more about what Sasha has to share.
I'm hoping to learn a little bit about myself. Let's see what happens.
Every day is something new. Yeah, there are many things I would like to dive into with you. Of course, you have an enormous backstory, many different chapters in your life. We're having conversations here at the Villa about it. Some of these things I would love to hear more about. And of course, there's an element of the new earth, the new paradigm that we're co-creating, the system solutions that are needed for us to get together as humanity in a more fair system. So, yeah, that's what I have in mind for our conversation. To start off, I would love to know, like right now, at this age, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention our age. If you look
over 30.
so just over 30. If you look back at your life, I'm sure you recognize already some chapters, like different lives that you've led. What are some of the key chapters, if you look back, that are worth knowing about you?
So that could be just me talking for an hour, but I'm getting better at it. It's been a big one. Yeah, I think I'm one of those. Once in a while you meet somebody and you talk to them and you realize like they've already had several lives. And yeah, I'm definitely one of those. I'd say the first one was childhood, because I had a particularly challenging childhood. So just lots of abuse. You know, I think all parents, very few parents are enlightened, so we're all inheriting trauma from our parents. So my mom came from. My dad ran away, and my mom was from Soviet Union, so they got the extra communism, so it was very heavy. So there was a lot of that. So that really set me up. That set my soul up to go on a healing journey. So it's actually probably the most profound chapter was me just being told I'm no good and having Russian boots about this size thrown at my head. I was dodging them like Neo from the Matrix at age 5. Like that was my normal. I think the Matrix owes me like royalties because I was doing the move before the movie. But anyway, that's the difference. But so that really, and at the time, like, you know, it sucked, of course. But later in life, you understand that actually shaped me. So that was one chapter, and then, wow, there was some death in my family. So I guess that was like a teenage year. So my mother, I lost my stepfather and my mother pretty much within a month. So it was really intense. So going through that, inheriting a lot of money, blowing a lot of money. So that was almost like a mini chapter, I'd say. It had a lot of learnings in it. And then the next big one was stand-up comedy for me. It was huge. So I started comedy when I was 17. I just had this crazy idea in my head while watching some other comedian. I was like, this guy's not funny. I could be funnier than this guy. And I just decided I'm going to do comedy, which is a crazy idea. But I always had that funny thing. So I started doing comedy at age 17. And even though that I was doing that pretty much for my whole life after that. So there's other chapters, but that's where the comedy chapter began. And I was pretty much full-time focusing on comedy till I was around 30. So, you know, and I became a professional comedian around age 23. So that was amazing because that was my first way of actually doing something that I was good at and developing a skill and building my confidence. And it was a way it's cheaper than therapy. So it was a way for me to get some of the frustration and anger I had at that time. And there was a lot of anger at that time. So comedy was a big chapter. It was really wonderful. Yeah, and there was a couple of peak moments there, winning like a competition or two. I had the pleasure of opening for Joe Rogan when I was around 2010, so it was cool. And I don't want to big up my ego too much, but Joe Rogan said I was funny. Just putting it out there. But that was cool. That was a nice little, because that's around the time I went into my next chapter, which was because I had so many issues with the feminine, because my mother, like I never had that love, that unconditional love that one would expect from their mother, right? You know, there's one person that should love you. It's your mom. And if love is boots thrown at the head, then I got a lot, but otherwise, no. So I was really awkward with women. So I was like, I'm a man. I like women. And I couldn't talk to them. I was terrified. I was terrified of rejection. I had no idea how to be a man because I had no role model at all. So, and no self-love. So I went down the rabbit hole of learning, as many guys, I'm not going to name names, Alexander, but a lot of guys go down the pickup rabbit hole. So they start learning about what is attraction and, what do you have to do to actually like get a girlfriend or talk to women, all these things. So I went really deep in that rabbit hole, as I always do with things. I go deep, right? If I'm going to be a comedian, I got to be the funniest comedian. If I'm going to be, good with women, I got to be the best with women. So I ended up getting pretty good, and I did something a bit different. Rather than going to clubs and getting women drunk, as is actually quite standard, in the society. I thought, I don't like that. It's pretty cheesy and very fake. I thought, no, I'm gonna learn how to be authentic and just talk to women anywhere I meet them. Anywhere, in a park, walking down the street, in a shop, whatever, coffee shop. So I just spent a lot of time doing that. And then I spent so much time doing that, I started teaching other men how to actually like be themselves and just be real. That was the revolution I brought to the dating niche. I said, no, just walk up to a woman, look her in the eyes and just be honest and say, hey, you're beautiful. Do you have a boyfriend? Can I take you for a coffee or something? And people were like, no, you can't do that. No, you got to spend money. You got to buy dinner, get him drunk, all this. I'm like, no, just can't we just, I actually said to another really famous pickup artist many, many years ago, I said, shouldn't we just be able to talk to women and be ourselves? And he said, that'll never work. So, of course, years later, it's like, that's the only thing that can ever work is like, you have to be yourself. Otherwise, you're attracting something that isn't a fit, right? So I went down that rabbit hole and I went pretty viral on the internet teaching guys this stuff and was charging like crazy amounts of money for guys to learn from me. And that was really, really fun. That allowed me to get into crypto early, and that paid for my outrageous lifestyle of not having to have a job for, most of my life, which was nice. So that was a big chapter that's connecting with women. And then another really big chapter, I guess there's a couple more. So the healing was always happening. So once I started having back pain when I was around 17, it was because I was holding so much trauma in my body. So the whole journey of just healing just began, and going to the gym, seeing chiropractors. So that's an ongoing thing. So that's just kind of like, some chapters are just, they go for like decades, you know what I mean? So it's almost hard to go, no, it started here and it never ends, because the journey in healing never really ends. Like you get to a point where you feel good and you're happy, but that doesn't mean you're 100% healed. I might be 95% healed, so it's ongoing for sure. But the other big chapter was, so many. So crypto was a chapter that I learned a lot there, because being super greedy and, again, trying to be number one and, I have $1 million, but let's make it 5, it's just pure stupidity. So crypto was, but again, you learn so much, right? You learn about the ego, so you want to learn about you got this greedy little ego, get into crypto. So that was a great chapter, but I learned a lot. A big one, I guess, was, I'm working up to the biggest one, seeing if I'm missing anything. I guess the really, really huge, and it goes with healing, but it's a different flavor, is spiritual awakening, the spiritual journey, which is, again, it's the real spiritual journey. This is something, this is going to be a whole 2-hour segment, but the real spiritual seeker is one who seeks the truth of oneself, one's own nature, right? Like, what am I? What is existence? What happens when we die? What is God? Like these are the really big questions. And they're out there, like real seekers, but not that many. In my journey, I've met a few that were really hardcore about it. But when that one hit me, after I had my first spiritual awakening, just by grace, in about 2009, I'll give away my age. I was 30 at the time. Everyone be doing math in their head now. But when I had the first one, and I remembered, like, oh, okay, we're all souls. We reincarnate. There's no such thing as death, and I'm here to remind people that we are not these bodies. And it was 2009. But once that came, after that, I really had to know. Like, I wanted to go really deep, like all the way. And so I was really obsessive about it. So I really went hardcore, doing reading every spiritual book I could read, seeking enlightened masters around the world, doing every practice you can imagine, working with plant medicines, breath work, yoga, meditation. I mean, everything. Nothing mattered other than enlightenment. It was just like, so that was like probably the biggest, they're all profound, but that one's, that's the one. And so that.
Are you enlightened now?
Well, so that's a really trick question, because the I you're talking to isn't real, the ego, because if there's some talking happening, it's a personality. So I have to put on some personality in order to even have a conversation. But the self that is, you can say, is experienced in an enlightened experience, there's no ego, there's no person, there's nothing. It's just the pure bliss of beingness, of love is just present. So I can talk about it, but the I you're talking to now wasn't there during that experience, just the self was there. So now it's going to sound really weird, but when you have some of those really big awakenings, that's a pretty accurate description. The person isn't there, right? And so, so there've been a lot of those between 2018 and 2021. I went through a series of like dozens of profound mystical awakenings, which basically, it's not that they change you. It's just that the you that you thought you were isn't really who you are, right? It's a character based on trauma and beliefs and societal beliefs and what we think we are, and the mind and all these things. But that was temporary. The beings that are talking now are temporary, but the essence, the soul, the energy that we are is eternal, and that eternal one is both. It's just, there's only one here. There's only one presence. We're one being. Guy over there, my friend, we're one being. And so when that is realized, it's just, that changes everything, because now everything you're doing is coming from that level of truth, that level of consciousness. So even though we're all one, and this leads directly into what we're going to talk about, which is like, why are we in this planet of like, why is there so much greed and suffering and all this kind of stuff? And it's just because of the level of consciousness, because most humans are still at low levels of consciousness, thinking that they're in survival. I need to make more money. I want more sex. I need people to like me, all these lower chakra, things. But when the self is realized, even a little bit, even someone who had like one good mushroom trip, just goes, whoa, hey man, that's just love. You know what I mean? Like one good acid trip. Whoa, hey, well, hang on a second. The guy I was talking to, he was myself. Well, what the hell? Yeah, even that, it changes your perspective. And then suddenly, wait a minute, if we're all one, why do I need to have more power over that person? Or why do I need to feel better about myself because I'm more successful than someone else, if they're me too, and we're just different versions of the same consciousness? So that changes the game.
Yeah, I'm really curious how that impacted like your life from there. So you had these experiences. Did you start making different choices? Did you start walking a different path since then?
Yeah, for sure. You're forced to see your own shit a lot more, right? Because like you go through these states of oneness and love and whatever. If you stay in a state permanently, then you would say, okay, well, that guy's enlightened because he just sits there, Om Shanti Shanti the whole time. That wasn't my path. And what I've learned is that I'll share something really profound. One of my spiritual teachers shared with me about one of his teachers, Sri Bhagavan. He said, if you want to save an ant, you must become an ant. Which is really profound. If Jesus or Buddha or Krishna or some enlightened master just appeared here in a light body and said, okay, guys, I got all the answers. We're going to save the planet. People would lose their shit. People would go running and screaming and freaking the fuck. No. But these high-level masters, they come as humans. They reincarnate as humans, and they go through trauma and difficulties, blah, blah, blah. So if you or me, we heal our trauma and we get to a high level of consciousness, and then we start doing really cool things and trying to build a new earth, and people talk to us, they can relate to us. Like, oh yeah, you were fucked up too, and your mom kicked the shit out of you, and you were homeless for a while, then we can relate. So that's what's happening on the planet right now. So many of us that are getting these downloads to build a new earth, we came to the planet for this, and we're not actually from here. Home Earth is not our home planet. Might weird some people out, but at some point you realize you're an infinite being. You're all over the cosmos, and this is just one like split second of an experience. And you most of us aren't from here. Most of us that have actually come as the reinforcements to flip this planet from ignorance into love and oneness. So
yeah. One of the things I'm curious about, and just a quick fast forward. I'm sure there are.
And I still didn't answer your question, but it's here.
Yeah, exactly. There's still 2-3 chapters probably to shine light on. But this idea of waking up to the reality of what we're here to do, and what is actually a sensible way to spend our life energy while we are here on this planet. I have been on a long journey past years, traveling around, working on some projects, also with some close ones. One here behind the switchboard, Nikolai. And at some point last September, you arrived at the Gathering of Tribes in Portugal. How was that experience, meeting the people there who more or less all are pretty aware of that notion of what's really going on and what's really meant for us here this lifetime? How did you experience that?
It was shocking, actually, really shocking. Me and Nikolai both had a moment where we felt the same thing at the same moment, and I just came up to him. This is right during the initial ceremony. There's like all the 500 people in there, and I felt it on such a deep level, and I just looked at Nikolai and said, "We're fucked. This changes everything." And he goes, "I know," and that's it. And we both sometimes we get the same downloads, or we have the same thoughts. And so we knew that, because we've been working on this thing that we're working on for a couple years of just really brainstorming and writing it out and getting more downloads from the universe and how does it work and mapping things out, this new system that we're building for humanity. And so meeting 500 people, realizing like, oh shit, everybody's here to build a new earth. We both were shocked. And then it went by so quickly, and we're like, this festival needs to be a month. And it's into what we need to do. So that was really, really profound. But the other question I was half answered was how having these awakenings really changes you. And so when you're in those states, and when you realize that we're all one consciousness, and that love is the nature of reality, right? And there's lots of people who've written about this and talked about this, and it always comes down to love is what we are. You cannot be doing anything with your life that's not in alignment with that truth. You can't. It's not just that you couldn't treat other people like shit. How could you attack someone or steal from someone or even manipulate or any of that stuff when you know it's all you, and you know the love that you face when you leave this body is also you, and like you can't cheat anything or anyone because it's all you, right? So obviously, if that's true, then how could you spend your life force energy pissing it away, just like doing some useless stuff? If you can't, it's just like you want the external world to represent the love that you have in your heart, that is the truth, which means, well, why are there homeless people? Why are there people on drugs? Why are there people who can't eat food? None of this makes any sense, because if I am love and you are love and God is love, or love is God, more accurate. But if it's all love, what's happening with this planet? This doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's actually wrong, and it's not in alignment. It's not in integrity. It's not the will of God. Ultimately, it's all perfect. Because it's allowing us to choose what we are and to learn and grow. Like, there has to be darkness for us to see the darkness and go, no, I am not that. Let's work towards something better. So this planet, as so much stuff, is just really frustrating, right? I get frustrated. I look at it as like, what are you kidding me? But for that is the catalyst for our evolution as a species, or as for consciousness to evolve. So we're seeing the slingshot right now. We're going all the way into the darkness, and then it's going to flip, and it's going to go all the way into the light. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm not a psychic. I don't know if it's going to take 30 years or 100 years. But even if it's 100 years, 100 years is a snap. We may still be here if we're really doing the fasting and with all the advancements. We may actually still be here in 100 years, believe it or not. That's actually, we used to live for hundreds of years. There's records showing how long we used to live. And we're not supposed to live 70, 80 years. That's also not correct. So that's really the big shift. When you remember your true nature, you have to align your life to bring that out to the world.
Yeah. And that opened up the most recent chapters. There's, on the one hand, Dr. Kimchi, the conscious crypto coin, the do good charity meme token, maybe the only one out there, and that is not about more and more and more money. There's the design for a new operating system for humanity. Can you share a little bit more about these two chapters now that you've first of these years?
I mean, for, I guess, few years now, we've been working on we just call it the thing, I guess, in our circles, because everyone's trying to build it, the thing, and then we call it also kind of the foundation, partly because we are students of the Kesh Foundation, and one of our favorite sci-fi shows is The Foundation. So we're just like, let's call it the foundation. We'll see what happens. But yeah, again, it's the concept is relatively simple, really. The systems that we have on the planet are based on lower levels of consciousness, so control, greed, money, power, all these kind of things. Right? If you look at government, how it functions and what it is. If you look at, even the concept of interest, keep your money in the bank account so you can get more for free. Well, then your interest is in more money rather than in putting that energy, currency back into the community and helping people, right? Have more, whatever it is, grow more food or have a better life, whatever. It's hoarding. It's all about greed. It's a lower level of consciousness, right? And so the systems are based on that, a Federal Reserve printing money. So basically the people who have literally can just create money on a computer, who's getting that money? Well, corporations that they're friends with, politicians, it's all corrupt. It's corruption through and through. It's all obvious now. I don't have to explain or, convince anyone of that, but it's totally out of alignment with integrity in every single way. And so it's create a system where they can give that money to whoever they want to, their friends. But when they create more of it, it dilutes it. So you and me and all our friends have to work more and more and more to try to get some of this stuff, which we need to get everything that we need. So the whole thing is, it is intentionally created to keep people disempowered. It is basically a slave system. Yeah. But it's brilliant in the way it's been set up because there's an illusion of freedom. Well, technically you could get a degree or start a business or be an artist. So yes, there is a degree of freedom. Like you can do what you want to, but ultimately the ones that have the power and the money will always maintain that. And yes, some people you can still become successful and be your own thing. Absolutely. It's not all terrible, but fundamentally the systems are set up so that the power and the money stays where it is. And we get the scraps and, whatever. And you can see that all across the board with the repression of technology, repression of certain information, like there's so many, we should be teleporting around. I mean, dude, the level of tech that's available on this planet that we're aware of, if you dig around, it's insane. They're like, no. So it is obvious that we need some kind of system of creating with each other that's not controlled or sabotaged by these, I call them forces that work, because I believe that they're leaving the planet. The level of consciousness we're heading into will make it impossible, and not just uncomfortable, but impossible for them to be here. That's actually what's happening. So that is the most important thing that's happening. So the biggest revolution before anything is raise your level of consciousness. Whatever you have to do to remember your true nature, do that. I don't care if it's breath work or fasting or stop smoking or stop, whatever we've all got our addictions or our things that are little sabotages that we do. So whatever people have to do to drop that and raise their level of consciousness, that raises everyone's level of consciousness because we're one, right? So one being attaining enlightenment affects all beings in this realm. So that's really the greatest revolution. And part of it, Nikolai and I and, G and so many of us, everybody around here, we all get this sense that we're heading into a new earth that's completely different and operates completely differently than where we've been. And so even though I'm not a coder or a programmer at all, I tell jokes for a living. Like I don't know any of that stuff. I keep getting these downloads about how this system works. And we've been getting more and more and writing them down and refining them for a few years now. And now we started meeting other people who have similar ideas. Not exactly the way we've seen it, but very close. The energy is there, right? Even though, we figured out how to create a currency and then we figured out how to make sure only humans get on our thing, whatever. But overall, we get it. So we need a system where it comes down to very simple. The only thing that's ever, everything that we see, buildings, structures, economic, everything that we see, food, everything on the planet, who made it? Who made it? Is it governments? Did governments make it? Did central bank money make it? Who made it? We did. Humans. We make everything. Our consciousness and energy made everything.
So with the resources given to us by the earth, exactly. Everything you see around us goes back to the earth. Comes from.
It's so simple. So basically, we've been getting downloads on a system, whereas human life force energy is all that's actually, and a bunch of people being really clear about what are their skills, what are their needs, and people can come together and collaborate in a system where only humans with good intentions are required to create everything. We think it's fairly simple. We don't think it's complicated at all. Maybe it's weird that nobody's done it yet. We actually still have moments of like, why isn't this up? Because it's not that difficult. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and why are we the ones who?
because I know we're all one, but can another aspect of the one do this? Because it's not my thing. Yeah.
I think probably some people viewing this are working on very similar topics. People from the Gaianet network, from the Villa Gaia network, Fvtura. Actually, the whole ecosystem, like you're saying, is like the thing we're all speaking and thinking about and experimenting our way to shaping these alternative systems where our needs are fulfilled without being dependent on the systems that extract our energy and take away from other places. And we've seen so many solutions come by also in the Gaianet network, so many different projects work on different elements, tokenized economic models, no governance systems, networks of trust. In the vision that you've distilled, all of these things come together, and there are a couple of really interesting elements that you thought out and thought through that I haven't heard about yet, I would say. So if you're working on the solutions like these, there may be some elements in the thought process of Sasha that can be interesting to think through, to potentially integrate. Yeah, please shine your light in this.
Sure. There's a couple of bits. Proof of humanity, right? So as we're seeing more and more, a lot of the comments before apparently Twitter was taken over, somebody was saying it was some insane number of comments. It wasn't humans. It was just bots. It was just literally sometimes it can be humans who are just doing farming, making money, making fake comments. So still fake, or just straight up AI bots manipulating algorithms and making things seem popular that actually people don't like, and lots of manipulation. So we realized we need proof of humanity. So we need a trusted network of humans, because there's always been humans, and we don't want to get interfered with. There's a lot of interference happening, and so our system is based on the founders. Basically, we invite the 3 people that we trust and love, and then those people understand the system, and they basically get also 3 invites, and they invite people. But we have a unique system where you have to verify. You make a little core group, basically, and you have to verify that the people that are in your core group are actually human. And it's very easy. It's like all you have to do is like get on a call with them, like a Zoom call or any type of technology you want to use, and then you actually connect, online with these people. Hey, how do you know him? Blah, blah. But you connect enough so that like, okay, cool, yeah, I invited you. You invited your friend, cool. They invited, awesome. So, and there's five of us, and you actually have a moment of like, cool. Yep, you're a carpenter and you live in Toronto. That's awesome. And your friends live there. Great. Just to know these are going to be my core group. And in our economic system, it's a little relevant that these are the people that it becomes relevant later in the creation of currency and how it's used in the system. But you just want to make sure there's humans, that they're not pieces of shit, basically, and that you connect with these people enough to be like, yeah, okay, cool. You guys can be my family unit. And then those people will invite more people. And it's fairly straightforward, but it's very hard to game it to get AI or like non-humans on there. So it's just going to be humans. And we're hoping that if we start off with high vibe humans, it's only going to be, it's just going to keep going to people who resonate or in that field. So that was one of the mechanisms is proof of humanity. The other one is what is currency? Energy, right? What is the ultimate currency? Is our time, right? We all have a certain amount left. We don't know exactly how much, but that's really, and we're using our time to get this money stuff, which is, again, can be manipulated and blah, blah, blah. It's not ideal. So what if we could the ultimate paradise would be, we just do what we love doing, right? So comedians do comedy, writers write, gardeners garden, right? People, you have kids, great, you can be a babysitter. And then everything else will be provided because the farmer's really good at making food. I don't need to farm. My neighbor makes the best farm. I don't need to do that. He'll just share with me. And so we all do what we love. So we created a system whereas we all bring our skills and we list them and we do what we love on the network and we just accumulate, we just call it presence. The easiest thing would just be presence tokens. So if I spend 10 hours helping you with your project, great, I have a plus 10 on my account. And now Nikolai's going to Russia and he wants to learn to speak Russian. Well, I speak Russian. I can spend, I can help him with that, whatever. We just keep, doing that. But it goes a lot deeper because we can all trade with each other in that direct way. However, let's say our friend has a great idea for like a healing center, right? He's like, yeah, I've got a business plan. I already own the land, but I need a marketing person. I need help people to come help, and I need healers, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So we can all be cycling through the greatest ideas humanity has. Everybody can put up their great project. So if I find, Jim, and Jim's got this great healing center idea just a few miles from my house, and I'd really like to make that happen. If I've been accumulating presence tokens, because I'm helping him with his Russian lessons, and I'm helping you, how to do stand-up comedy because you want to do some public speaking, and I'm making you a little bit more whatever better speaking, a better speaker. I've accumulated all these presence tokens. If I want to support this healing center, I can donate those to Jim. Now Jim can go and use, let's say I gave him 20 hours of my presence tokens. He can now hire other people and do whatever he wants. And our system is interesting because I'll use a bit of my presence to vote for the projects I really support. So just a little piece, maybe like 1/6 of an hour, I'll give to his healing center as a vote. And based on how many votes he gets, the system looks at him and says, yeah, everyone's voting for his healing center. The community wants that to be a thing. So if it reaches a certain threshold, he gets approved and all that presence goes to him. And now he's got a bunch to work with. And then within his project, he can continually work and actually mint more tokens for the stuff that he's doing. And it's, and that's where it gets a little, how's it working, blah, blah, blah. But fundamentally, for humans to be able to come together and mint tokens based on their work. So if we're doing some project together and I put 25 hours in and you put 25 hours in, the community will look at what we've done and say, yes, this is valid. This is real. They're not just scamming. This is useful. So then we ourselves create the currency, not a central bank that can devalue it or hold it or charge us interest. No central bank. You and me as humans, as consciousness, can create something together and then create these tokens, which basically say, well, hey, we've done something useful for humanity, and now we can trade it. And anyone can create these tokens by doing something. And then we have a proof of experts, which if it's something like more complicated, like, if you're building a bridge, and I'm hiring you to build a bridge, you better know what you're doing. So in that case, your proposal for bridge building is going to be approved by who? Bridge builders, professional bridge builders who will look and say, yeah, this is real. This guy clearly knows what he's talking about. Yeah, 10 out of 10, 100% for sure. And that guy who took half an hour to look at your proposal, he's going to get paid in some presence tokens by you and by me because that's valuable work, right? He can't be spending 30 minutes of his time for free because I need to know that you're not full of it building my bridge. So everyone, sometimes normal people just without any special skills can just verify stuff for sure. Did this guy build a website that works? Yeah, he did. There's a website, it works. And then more specialized things like the bridge builders. But it's all part of the system and it's proof of experts, basically. Yeah.
There's a lot about it that I like. One question that I have is if each skill is worth the same amount of presence tokens. So, for example, an hour of a brain surgeon's time compared to an hour of a hairdresser's time. Is it both one presence token in this model?
Yeah, that question comes up a lot. That's like the first question. Like, hang on a second. I've been studying brain surgery for 20 years. So we use that as a general metric just because to keep it simple. But of course, if somebody's super specialized, if you go to the brain surgeon and you're like, hey man, I need brain surgery, I can't afford it. The brain surgeon can say, yeah, I'll do it for you, but like, I want, it's going to take, the surgery's going to take an hour, but I want 20 presence tokens. Yes, it's still a free market. People can do whatever trades they want with each other. It's just a general suggestion, but what, you know what I'm saying? So so you can negotiate with people, of course. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you like, nope, it's like this, but as a general one-to-one help, you work for you help someone for an hour to get a present, but people can, yeah.
How, that's clear. How do you avoid that people like cheat the system and say they delivered services to each other and both earning presence tokens? Well, it never really took place.
Yeah, we looked at that as well. So we have a system whereas your core family unit that you approve at the beginning and you say, yeah. These guys automatically accept anything that you create automatically because they're your core family unit. But anything else, and they accept anything that you create with someone else. But as we go, there's always going to be people verify. So if your currency that you've created, you want to go and use it outside of your core group, you want to go and spend it here, eventually, people are always going to have to check that it's legitimate. So they're going to check the quality of stuff that you've made. There might be weird areas of like, whether if we spend 3 hours on a phone, learning Russian, how do we prove like without having some software that's monitoring or something like that? It would be a bit weird. So I'm sure that there may be some ways that people could try and hack it, but all the time that we spent going through it, whatever, difficult, difficult. Yeah. Because it doesn't really, in a way, it doesn't make sense because the whole system is like the more good you do, that your reputation goes up and you get personal tokens, and so it's like for somebody to really scam, you have to you have to work really, really hard to find someone else to be like, okay, let's just pretend to do something, because there's always going to be some level of somebody checking. In fact, interesting, you could even technically, if someone is saying, oh yeah, I spent 20 hours teaching Russian to this guy, oh yeah, cool, we're going to have a Russian speaker talk to that person and see if they speak any Russian for 2 minutes. So that would be another easy test if there is, to add in. So again, because there's always human experts on the network, we can always, if the system sees that there's someone claiming a large amount, I created 30 hours teaching this person Russian, well, we can check that. That's really easy to add in. Like, okay, cool, yeah, have a Russian speaker call them out and let's see. So the system is always kind of evolving in that way with our human experts. And there's assistance from AI. So the AI is going to be looking for if there's a pattern of like, wow, this person's working 15 hours a day. That's a bit weird that someone's on there 15 hours a day. Maybe we should check. You see what I'm saying? So there's always going to be safeguards to just double check. But normal usage, someone being on there a couple of hours or whatever. Yeah.
One thing I really love about this way of thinking, and it goes for most tokenized economies, is the idea that value can be created and currency can be created through action. So one of the big issues during times of depression is that humans sit still at home because there's no money to pay them, right? But they could still stand up, take a piece of wood, hammer, nails, and build stuff, right? But they don't because this imaginary thing called money isn't there. And in a setup like this, action is rewarded and money is created not by somebody in an ivory tower typing it into the actually everything that's by a real human doing.
There's a movie I suggest everybody watch. It's called The Miracle of Wurgle or Shillings from Heaven. It's got 2 names. And it's about this town, I think it was like 1933 in Austria, and they were super, super like no money, no one's working. They had a factory and they had people who wanted to work, but they just didn't have the local currency to pay people. So one mayor, the guy that became mayor, did something really revolutionary. He said, let's send people to work in the factory and we'll just write down on a piece of paper, yeah, this guy worked for 8 hours, this guy worked for 6 hours, and we just give people work certificates, and then other people, farmers or bakers or whatever in the community will, can take these. So they just started paying people at the factory with these work certificates, and guess what? A whole town exploded into action. People started building the bridge. The butcher started getting paid, but then he would use them for other things. So eventually, they had this booming town that was exploding. Everyone was working. They did one other interesting thing, which was they said they did something called demurrage, which was if you didn't use your work certificates in a month, you'd have to pay a small, like maybe $50, half 50 cents or whatever. But no one had 50 cents. So you would use it. You would use it rather than trying to hoard the certificates. Everyone would just spend them. So there was an insane amount of abundance, and all these mayors from all across the country were coming to learn, what they were doing. And of course, the government shut it down.
Yeah, I understood, but when people started to exchange the work certificates for fiat currency.
In the movie, one person did that, and then the government and bank said, "Oh, well, now you're trying to, basically, do something dodgy with money." So yeah, and then they shut it down.
Super interesting. Okay, so we highlighted a few elements in your model: the human verification of being human, the exchange of work, the presence tokens, the voting mechanism through presence tokens for projects that the community wants to prioritize. Is there another key element you want to highlight before we move forward?
There's a few. I think that's most of it. That's really most of it. Yeah. Yeah, when you really dive in, it gets a little. People look at me funny. They're like, "How big is the white paper?" I'm like, 45 pages, and they're like, "Ooh," I'm like, "Really? That's not a lot." But yeah, I think that basically covers. There was a lot more, but fundamentally, yeah, I think we got the energy of it across.
Yeah, really cool. For people that want to read your white paper, is it already online somewhere?
We even have it up. We know what our URL is, so we'll probably stick it up there shortly, which is foundation.is. This is the one that we bought. So yeah, we'll put it up, and we've been talking about just making a short video. So yeah,
really cool. Really cool. Okay. Looking ahead now for yourself, we spoke about like a new earth. One of the beautiful things is that we can all do what we're great at and that we love doing. And this creates this whole palette, this whole circus of unique individuals doing their thing. What is your thing?
I have too many things. That's my problem. I'm also a manifester, so they get all these ideas, and then I think I have to do them all, and I'm like, I can't do them all. I love making people laugh. It's always just a joy making people laugh. And then I started doing these workshops years ago called Comedy Therapy and Authentic Communication, where I basically get people to a bunch of exercises at first to just open up the heart and get present, but then seeing the humor in their trauma, seeing the humor in the messed up stuff that happened to them as a kid or when they're teenagers or just in life, and then writing jokes about those things. So by the end of the course, everyone's basically does a little show where they basically make fun of themselves and talk about their life. And everybody laughs a lot, and it's a really good way to connect with people, because when we can laugh at ourselves and present ourselves as this imperfect being, everyone else around us says, "Oh, cool, I don't have to be perfect either." And then they're more likely to share authentically who they are. And so because that was such a huge struggle for me for so long, because I had no love and I didn't have friends, I was always an awkward kid with no friends, and I couldn't talk to women. Helping people connect authentically with each other has always been a passion of mine. So that's something I do once in a while if I'm going to a certain city and someone says, "Oh, do you want to do it?" And so yeah, that's a passion. So potentially bringing that in a bigger way online, making it more available, is it maybe. But yeah, that's always wonderful. Collaborating with other people on building the thing that's going to continue. We do have a side project that's really quite fun as well, which is a conscious crypto that helps people like learn that we drop information and interview people and actually help people with funding who need it when it comes to overcoming cancer naturally. Because that's one of the things about truth is like all truth. I like to spread all truth, not just truth about our nature as consciousness. That's the most important one, but truth about health, truth about the financial system, truth about sovereignty, because we don't really, the people running the show, the government doesn't really want us to know the truth about anything, so they're not really running the show, but they're the management team, we'll call them. So I like spreading the truth. So cancer is a really big unifying one, because it's coming up to like 1 in 2 people, and everybody, it's just ridiculous. And it doesn't have to be fatal. All the information out there about it is completely wrong on purpose. And so if you understand what cancer is, that it's just a warning mechanism and that it can be dealt with safely. And the cause is often actually energetic. It's energetic, it's trauma, it's energy that hasn't been processed. And when people understand what it is, you never have to do chemo. You never have to do surgery, very rarely. So chemotherapy is a really poopy way to go up. So the crypto basically is getting the information out there so people really understand what's going on and can heal themselves. So yeah, so it's a crypto dedicated to making fun of big pharma and helping people educate themselves so they can be healthy. So yeah.
One sec. You want to share the name?
Dr. Kimchi. Yeah, it's on the Solana network. It's Dr. Kimchi and drkimchi.xyz is the website. It's out there. It's doing good things. It's funded healers to the tune of $60,000. So if people have manifest cancer and they don't have the funds, they can actually go to one of our practitioners and can actually get kimchi tokens to help them with the treatment. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's a conscious crypto. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to start a conscious crypto that would bring a level of consciousness and doing good, crypto that cares into that space. And that space is just about profit and greed. And of course, there's legit projects, but with meme coins, it's pure gambling. So we're like, cool, let's do a meme coin that actually helps heal the planet and just see what happens. So it's like a great experiment. But if we have it's getting out there, and every time we tell a doctor about it, or even some influencers, they say, "Oh, this is really cool." So yeah, we'll see what happens with that too.
Yeah, super cool. All right, yeah, you're now it's your second stay at Villa Gaia already. You're 1.5 months alive. You're already here second time. Soon off to India. I wanted to make sure we have this conversation before you go. Do you see yourself come back sometime?
For sure. I'm already planning, okay, I know it's going to be popular, so I'm going to reserve my spot for the summer. Because it's already amazing, but of course it's just a bit more hectic in the beginning. You got to clean up, you got to get it ready, and there's lots to do. But yeah, just bringing. I'll end on this. This is a beautiful story. During the I like to call it the pandemic because it was planned, but during the pandemic, in Canada where we're from, there was lockdowns, and they were pretty, don't meet, don't hug anyone, don't love anyone, very anti-love, the whole agenda. And so there was one beautiful moment. I, of course, was having underground comedy shows all over Vancouver and in my basement, and they were very popular amongst the free movement, who saw through the psychological operation. And we were in the basement, and sorry to anyone who hadn't figured that out yet, don't worry. I love you anyway, no matter what you believe. But we were just about to do a comedy show in the basement. Everyone's at my house, and I had about 70 people in the kitchen, and everyone's just talking loud and super excited because no one had met in months during the lockdown. So everyone's talking and eating food, and it was just, the energy was insane. It was the insane energy, and it was a struggle even to get people to go into the basement to do the show that they pay for. It was difficult. And I had a really deep moment where I was just watching everybody interact, and it just hit me whoa, this is the human experience. Just people who don't know each other and know each other come together to just hang out and talk and hang out and eat food. That was literally the most beautiful human experience, and that was actually what they were trying to shut down. Don't need people, don't hug people, be afraid of people. People can get you. They were literally trying to destroy the human experience. That's what that was about. And it really hit me on a deep moment. And so bringing it back to here, we're creating that here. Humans with a specific mission to build a new earth from a place of love and to be able to come somewhere, eat and live together and collaborate together. This is the human experience. It's really, I think, this is it. This is really what we came here to do. So it's a really profound, not just this one, but having these hubs across the world. I think it's going to change the world, not to be cheesy, it's going to change the world, but really bring the people together with that vision that they actually can tune in with each other and work. It's huge. It's really huge. So where the planet's going to be in 5-10 years, I think is going to be a very different place.
Yeah. And that love be our new normal.
That's it. Beautiful.
Any final message you would like to share?
The ultimate spiritual practice: don't be a dick. No, wait, I can phrase it better. It's my practice. I fail often, but just try and be the love. That I think that's how we build the new earth. Just in every moment that we can, try and be the love as much as we can, even though we're not perfect, and sometimes we're not present, and sometimes we're burping, and sometimes we say the wrong thing, and whatever, a million and one things, human experience. But can we stop and just try to be the love? What would an enlightened master do in every situation? Can we be that? more and more can we be that? And that's the change. That's really the change, because that affects everyone. And then those people then are like, oh, it's about being present and loving, and then that affects people around them. So we can just bring that energy into this. That's how we told the newer, from that space of love and presence.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, and also thank you for spreading the knot.
You do, man. Look forward to the next one.